So you've done the self-help and you've dipped into some personal development, but now you ask the question, now what? What can you do? Well, if you want to escape the apathy, step right this way. So twice a year, I teach a course called Autonomy. It's a 12-week personal development and training course. What people get out of it is multifaceted. There's curriculum, there's exercises, there's camaraderie, you make new friends. There's a whole lot of interesting things. We're going to hear a sample from the course right now, and let's take a look at the value these students are getting.
So yesterday I was a PA on a set, and I was like, that's a production assistant for anyone who doesn't know. Basically means I did anything I could help to assist them. I was like, how can I help you? How can I help you? And there's so many times where they were like, just hold tight.
Yeah, be a mind reader. Know what we're doing ahead of time. Have some experience and know that we're going to need this thing next. So bring it up here. That's where they're going to be like, who? What's your name? Yeah, I want more of that. And they're going to hire you. Right?
All right.
Be intuitive. Use your intuition there in the service of other people. That's really the place for it.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. My question then with that is like intuition. One thing I've struggled with intuition, and I think a lot of people here can resonate with that, is trusting oneself and not blocking yourself from that. And I've noticed this, and I've observed this in my writings and reflections, and also just in when I practice. Sometimes I'll have an intuition, just natural gravitation to like say, do something, but I will stop myself. And I could feel my body tense up. It's like, and it's like, oh, should I do that? And it's like, okay, that right there, that's not the good part. Now there's an element of thinking, is that a good idea? Maybe for like risk assessment and things like that. But what is your experience or knowledge when it comes to say like making sure that you don't stop yourself from moving forward on something that potentially could be beneficial for other people or yourself intuitively?
Intuition is a super powerful force, which few people have familiarity with, let alone have taken the time to train it. Because it's not just naturally in its raw state. Just like riding a horse, you can't ride a horse in the raw state of hoarseness. The horse has to be calmed down a little bit to accept the saddle and the bit for you to be able to enjoy a ride. It's difficult. The intuition is there to serve us in terms of long-term survival, right? So back in the day, you might feel, oh, I'm being watched and there's wolves behind you. Okay, you're gonna stay alive that day. These days, intuition has been so skewed and mucked with by societal cues and triggers that I find total 100% intuition is like short-term fizzle. And if you question those intuitions and come into alignment and understanding, then it's like long-term rocket fuel, right? As opposed to like a firecracker. Like a synchronicity can be a firecracker. It goes off. It's like, your mind just aligned with reality. What you were thinking just kind of took place in your reality. And if you got those points to get closer and closer together, I think you'd be closer and closer to manifesting your mind into reality. But it's not a magical thing. It comes as a part of causality and action. You see what I'm saying? And the synchronicity is like, a tune or tone that you're headed in the right direction, but it's like your journey's not over yet. You got more work to do. So the intuition, I find it more useful to question it and inquire, because sometimes my intuition's like, this person's full of shit. And I'm like, well, where's this coming from? Based on what evidence? Because if I can't come up with evidence to justify that intuition, I'm probably going to leave the intuition there and say, okay, I hear you, but I'm waiting to see if this person's performance matches up with their words, right? Oftentimes I'm wrong. Surprise, surprise. Human beings are wrong. So I'm incredulous all the time, and I look stuff up and I'm like, oh, geez, I was wrong. I didn't know that. Oh, and I just learned, and I appreciate that. And there are other times I'm incredulous and I was like, I knew it, they were full of shit. But I'm like, then why'd you look it up? Well, because I'm not sure they're full of shit. I have to look it up, So there's like trust but verify. Like listen to your intuition, but verify it. Otherwise, you're going to be paying attention to things that don't exist. And that's a paranoid type of state, not the more detailed reality that, that's another definition of paranoia, reality on a finer scale.
Yeah.
Right? So but there's also like, if you're paying too much attention to all the details, you're not taking action, because you can't do those things while you're taking action. So there's like a time and place. It's like, I think there's a Bible verse about it. To every thing there is a season, something like that.
Yeah. Intuition is a little more tricky to understand, I think, than intellect, and it's something like it's like a muscle. It's definitely something that needs to be trained, and I guess I've been trying to understand what it is and how to feel it and develop a relationship with my
It's your
own.
reading of the situation. That's why I say, if you're going to use intuition, like if I were to use intuition in my day job, it would be in the creative ideas, the let's, we have a problem. What's the thing that we haven't discovered yet? Let's envision the future. Intuition. Use to formulate that completely. Marketing and copywriting, where you're using sales on someone, and like you're trying to solve a problem for someone you haven't met. They're going to see this on a billboard or in a magazine or wherever. Like, you're writing to people in the future that you don't get to contact. So there's a whole intuition thing. Like, how is this going to bounce off of people 2 years from now when they see this or whatever? Intuition is also used to read the situation based on your understanding and predicting what's next, right?
Mm.
If I'm a writer and you're my production assistant, whatever they call it for writers, because I don't have a production assistant for my writing, but like, I'm getting toward the end of a page in the typewriter, the intuition should say, grab another page, hand it to me so I don't have to turn around, and then take that page I just took out and put it in the box over there on that table or whatever, so I don't have to get up and walk around to do that. Whatever the process is, intuiting the next step and trying to make it easier for the other person you're working with.
Yeah.
I learned it as a kid when we're cutting wood or splitting logs or doing any of this type of stuff. Like, you have to like intuit what's going to happen next.
Mhm.
Or, if you don't, you can get smacked in the head. Like, we were in a log line where my brother's throwing a log to me and I'm throwing it into the pile, and my glove got caught and I didn't turn my head back soon enough. And so when I turned around, log was in my face because my brother wasn't looking where he was tossing it as he was doing it. So my intuition didn't save me from that, by the way. Though it probably could have. Hey, there's a dynamic that could appear doing something like this, and it might
Right.
look like getting a log in the head.
It's a
So
little. Oh, I was going to say it's a little more of a feeling interaction with trying to understand things
yeah,
rather than if this then that linear kind of process where it's like,
but you got to match them up, because like the psychedelic state is just the intuition state for like 6 hours straight instead of like seconds at a time, right?
Mm.
And in that intuitive state, you can figure out a whole bunch of stuff, but you have to end up coming back to apply it in reality. Otherwise, it's an ephemeral thing that never gets manifested here in this world.
All right, duly noted. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
That's fun homework. There you go.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, it's like kind of a because trying to take what comes to me, and then applying it to something applicable in reality, which is tangible.
This is why that Seinfeld episode where George Costanza discovered, he's like, and they're like, everything George does is wrong. It never works out. And the idea came up that if you just did the opposite, then you get the opposite result. And all of a sudden, Costanza is doing the opposite of what he would normally do. And he's having amazing success, right? So I like to do that. It's like, if this isn't working, like if I'm trying to like move a bolt, am I even pulling the right way? Because like, maybe I wasn't paying attention, right? Or if you're working with certain types of things like natural gas, it screws in the other way, right? So if I'm like sitting there like this, like, why won't this thread? Oh, I got to stop and think. Let's try it reverse. Oh yeah, reverse thread. There you go. It goes inside another thing that's threaded. So you have to use your logic with your intuition sometimes,
Cool.
to survive.
Yeah, kind of
Most
marry
of the time. Yeah.
Cool.
It's
Awesome.
like peanut butter and jelly.
Having the freedom to be in control of my time and my workload has always been really important to me. So I took AUTONOMY and I got some high value skills that'll let me work anywhere at any time. I got the skills that'll let me overcome the problems and challenges that come up in my day-to-day life. And I overcame my fear and my self-doubt, so I'm not procrastinating anymore. You can take your scarcity mindset and switch it out for an abundance mindset at getautonomy.info. Check it out today.